Use this mic as well.
Jai Shri Guruji Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Bhaktabandav Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Param Gurudeva ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki Jai. Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai. Nandakadi Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Samagata Bhakti Vrinda ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hare Hare Bol. Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Karo He Dase Tina Pekchayati Na
Kripa Bindu Diya Karo He Dase Tina Pekchayati
Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Karo He Dase Tina Pekchayati Na Sakala Sahane Bala Diya Karo Nij Mane Spriha Hina
Sakala Sahane Bala Diya Karo Nij Mane Spriha Hina
Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Karo He Dase Tina Pekchayati Sakale samana karite shakti deho nata jata jata
Sakala Samana Karite Shakati Dehanata Jata
tabe to gai go hari nama suke aparadha habe hata
Ame to Raito Hari Nama Sukhe
Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Karo He Dase Tina Pekchayati Kabe heno kripa labhyaye jan kritata hoibe nata Ashakti buddhi namiyati de Shakti buddhi namiyati Karo moye atma sadha Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Karo He Dase Tina Pekchayati Jogyata vichare kichu nahi pai Tamara karuna sara Karuna sara Karuna na hoile kandiya kandiya Karuna na hoile kandiya kandiya Swami Maharaj ki
Jai. You can sit either there or there, but it's just like if you lean on the left.
I can Kirtan. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanasya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhyo Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Shri Gurudeva ki jai Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Goswami Maharaj ki jai Tirobhav Mahamahotsav ki jai Avirbhav Mahamahotsav ki jai Rupanuga Gauri Guru Varga ki jai Vrindavan Dham ki jai Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki jai Jagannathpuri Dham ki jai Anantakuti Vaishnavinda ki jai Samagata Bhaktavinda ki jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi. I guess I'm going first. So many things to say and to think about on this day. What to say? But there's a verse came to mind. Karmi vyaparito hare priyataya vyaktim vyayugyaninas devyo jnana vimukti bhakti parama praimaikya nishtatata devyasta pashupala pankajadrisha tabhyopi saradhika Preshta tadvadiyam tadiya sarasi tam nashayat kakriti. This is Upadeshamrita Srila Goswami's Nectar of Instruction, verse 10, about, and correct me if I'm wrong, among, those who are karmis, the one who seeks the Lord in knowledge and gyan is superior to them. And among those who is a devotee, with prem, they are superior. Oh, now I'm losing it. What's the last line? Sorry, of the verse. If I have a songbook, I have one right here. Let's read the definition. That would be great. Let's do it. This is what happens when you're in front of the mic. Okay.
Right here. Let's do the book.
So, the Brahmagyanis, who by dint of their spiritual knowledge are transcendental to the three modes of material nature, attained distinction as being more dear in all respects to Sri Hari than the pious followers. So the Gyanis are more superior than the pious followers on the path of karma, who are forever occupied in performing virtuous deeds, those who have abandoned the pursuit of knowledge like Sanaka. And the Bhakti Parama are those who are dear devotees to Krishna, considering bhakti alone to be the best path. Prema Ekanishta, pure devotees of Krishna such as Narad, who are resolutely fixed in praying for him, then them. Okay, this is word for word, it's a little confusing. Oh, there we go. One who selflessly performs virtuous acts in accordance with the path of karma yoga is superior to those who merely seek to fulfill their selfish desires. The Brahmagyanis, who by dint of their spiritual knowledge are transcendental to the three modes of material nature, are more dear to Sri Krishna than those pious followers of the karma path, who are forever occupied in performing virtuous deeds. More dear to Sri Krishna than the Brahmagyanis are his devotees like Sanaka, who have abandoned the pursuit of knowledge and who consider bhakti alone to be the best path. In doing so, they have followed the statement in Srimad Bhagavatam, Jnane Prayasam Udapasya. One should abandon the endeavor for knowledge. Pure devotees like Narad, who are resolutely fixed in praying for Krishna, are even more dear to him than all such devotees. The Brajagopis, whose very lives belong solely to Krishna, are even more beloved to him than all such premi devotees. Amongst all those beloved gopis, Srimati Radhika is more dear to Sri Krishna than his own life in precisely the same way. He dearly loves her pond, Sri Radhakund. Therefore, what highly fortunate, spiritually intelligent person would not reside on the banks of Sri Radhakund in a state of transcendental consciousness, performing bhajan of Sri Krishna's eightfold daily pastimes? I don't think I would have been able to translate that without the book. So this verse I was thinking about, because how rare is it, even amongst so many souls in this universe, how rare is it for someone to even become a Vaishnav, even to take to the path of Krishna Bhakti. And yet again, how rare is it to come in contact with a Premi Bhakta, one who has Prem, and then to come into contact with someone who is from Vrindavan Dham, Brajadham, eternal abode of Braj, and then who is very dear to Srimati Radhika in her intimate grove doing service to Radha and Krishna. This is very, very rare and topmost. So to think of Srila Gurudev, how lucky we are to have his association through his teachings and personally, physically, in all aspects. Gurudev says that when someone asked him, what will happen when you leave? And he says, after I leave, there will be no obstacle, no limitation in how I can meet with you. So Gurudev we are always able to meet with him. Even a moment's association with him is our entire existence is successful. So I just thinking about just how rare this is to have him in our life, and holding on to that and not wanting to take that for granted, and really trying to understand the depth of that. We hear in Bhagavad Gita, we hear all these descriptions of perfected yogis, or those who have control over their senses, those who are able to die without any attachment to the body, can enter into, they're fully absorbed in spiritual consciousness. When Srila Gurudev left this world, when he entered into Nitya Lila, which is not a mundane activity, it's not like a regular departure from this world. It was at Mangalarti, even at 3 a.m., and he was cross-legged in lotus pose, and he was performing like a Gayatri mantra, performing as if in full meditation samadhi. He's not an ordinary personality. Gurudev gives us all these indications to give us faith. When I see all this, it engenders faith in me because the process is real. And Gurudev is not ordinary. So we see all these, Gurudev comes, all the pure devotees and acharyas come in this world and show some indication for us so that we can gain faith, because we are very faithless. We do not know the reality. We are used to this illusory reality. So through different pastimes and different activities, we gain faith in what is the real spiritual absolute reality, Satyam Param Dhimahi, which is what we were reading in Bhagavatam. Dhimahi, this absorption, meditating on that absolute truth. This is what Gurudev and all of our acharyas are always absorbed in. And this is what Srila Prabhupada called ISKCON, Krishna Bhakti Rasabhavita Mati. This mati, this absorption. This is what Gurudev was always exhibiting in his entire life. And he told us to do so too. And with his Harikatha, he would always encourage us to be in that absorption. I remember asking him, I believe it was the first time Srila Gurudev came to our house in Los Angeles, my family's house. And I, of course, so pridefully thought that I should ask Gurudev for a personal instruction. I thought, I wanted to come closer to him, and I felt like I wanted a personal instruction. And of course, hearing others who get personal instructions from Srila Prabhupada or Srila Gurudev, pleasing them, I had some naivety of thinking that I was even qualified to ask. So I asked. I was like 14 at the time, and he just said, chant and remember. I said, Gurudev, please give me some instruction. And he came closer and he says, what? And I said, I want to do something for you. Is there something I can do? And he said, chant and remember. You should chant and remember. And at first I thought, okay, maybe this is what he's giving me because I maybe can't handle some service or something. I had some idea like that. But actually, this is the highest instruction. And he gave this instruction to everyone, is to chant and remember. And it's not just to chant and remember what we think what chanting and remembering is. It's what Gopanadini Didi was saying this morning about remembrance when she asked Gurudev what this word remembrance means. Gurudev's mood of remembrance, his mood towards that word, is very different than what we think of that word. It's not just thinking about, but it's being absorbed and bringing to the forefront, bringing into our heart, into our consciousness. And so Gurudev said chanting and remembering, this is a lifelong and eternal instruction to always chant and remember this Krishna Bhakti Rasabhavita Mati, this absorption in Krishna Bhakti. And Gurudev would show this example always. Everywhere he went, he was in Braj. He never left Vrindavan. He brought Vrindavan everywhere he went. And seeing the hills, he would see Giriraj as he established Annakut festival in New Braj. And he would see the Yamuna and rivers. And he would ask devotees on the morning walk, now what is the time and what is Krishna doing right now? Always encouraging us to be in that absorption. And Gurudev would weep, singing in the moods of the Goswamis, He Radhe Brajadevi ke chalalite he nanda sunakuta. His voice would choke up, thinking about Braj and the Goswamis and this mood. And just every time he spoke, it would bring us there, even though we weren't qualified. And he would say often, I'm only speaking to a few of you here, and all of you, most of you are very unqualified to hear this, but keep it in your heart pocket. And so I pray that I can remember and chant thinking about these things, because they are not ordinary. And like I said, when that verse from Upadeshamrita, it is so rare to meet a Rasik Vaishnav, someone who is so dear to Srimati Radhika and so openly sharing these things on top of that. So I was thinking, and I don't know, maybe someone can help me on this. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that you can find him in 3 places. You can find him in his Vigraha Murti, worshipping. You can find him in Sankirtan. And I believe you can find him in the heart of a devotee. Is that right? I'm pretty sure that's the 3rd one. If I'm wrong, oh well. I have many mistakes in this this glorification. But I was thinking this verse, these 3 things also apply to Srila Gurudev, because his Vigraha Murti is here, and I have the fortune to be able to serve his Vigraha every day and try to develop relationship through his Murti. So he is non-different, he is present. Like Gopanandini Didi said this morning, it's sometimes hard to feel separation here in this place because Gurudev is so present here. Vaishnavas have told us that they are here. Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev are directly present here, and that we should not fear or have any doubt in what we are doing here. So I feel his presence very much in his Vigraha. And when we sing these songs, Gurudev's favorite bhajans, I feel him so much. Namami Nandanandanam, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Radha Kripa Katakshasthavaraj, even said Goswami Ashtakam, like these Govardhan Ashtakam, these kind of songs, Taveva Asmi, all these verses that he would also speak in his Mangala Charan. He's present in all of those, and his Harikatha, he's present as soon as someone starts speaking about his Harikatha, you immediately feel him. And he's also in the hearts of all of those he touched, all of my God family, God brothers, God sisters, God uncles and aunties, and also in those who have not met him but have met him internally through his books and his teachings and his disciples. So I want to always be in that absorption of Srila Gurudev, chanting and remembering him. And he's also in his name. Gurudev, I've heard many times, those who are in fear have difficulty, even from disembodied beings or being attacked. Saying the name of Srila Gurudev or the name of Guru is so powerful. Even writing down the name, his name fully. He's present. So how do we stay connected to him? Because Guru leaves our material, our physical vision. This is also part of his instructions, his teaching to us how to develop separation. If Guru would not have this pastime, it would be difficult for the sadhak to develop a mood of separation, meeting and separation. So Guru leaves from our vision so that we can develop our connection with him more internally and deeply. And if we can have separation mood with him, then then we can transfer that separation mood to Radha Krishna and all the associates. But Guru is our link, our umbilical cord, our connection. But separation means separation in meeting. It doesn't mean separate. Physically separate is fine. That may happen. That's inevitable. Even Radha Krishna are not always together physically. But they're always meeting internally. Never separate, actually. And that is the difference between one who is advanced in their relationship with Guru and one who is just beginning. And I'm just beginning. So I pray for that heart-to-heart connection, always connected. This is what Gurudev wanted all of us to have. Guru Nishta, even just starting at Guru Nishta, he wanted all of his disciples to at least reach the stage of Guru Nishta in this life. Because he says then the next life is guaranteed where you will continue. If you don't have the stage of Nishta, it is not guaranteed what your destination will be in the next life. So Guru Nishta is the backbone of bhakti, and without having that deep, firm connection and faith in Gurudev, then how can we progress? How can we really meet with him internally? And so I see like how Srila Prabhupada engaged everyone in so much physical service and so much dedication, so much sacrifice, and how much blessings they got, and even the blessing of Srila Gurudev coming into their lives. So much showering, and I'm thinking about this of how I can also use my body, mind, and senses, because I'm not internally connected as I would like to be to Gurudev, to use that external, because that's Vaidhi Bhakti, using the mind, body, words in regulated devotional service to somehow slowly develop that internal mood. And because Gurudev, I always see Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev as together. They're always working together, as we were saying. Srila Prabhupada built many temples and made many devotees and many facilities and amazing preaching. And then Srila Gurudev, when he first came to the West, he did not emphasize building temples because Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada had already built them. He says, I want to build temples in your hearts. So these two things have to be there. We cannot become Bhajananandis and just think we can develop internal connection with Guru without giving our life's blood and our energy and our body to the service and mission of Srila Gurudev. But at the same time, if we're not trying to develop his moods in our heart, then he is not fully satisfied. So his instruction to me, very simply, just chant and remember, is not a light instruction, actually. To be absorbed in these moods, this Braja Bhakti. Yeah, okay, I'll stop soon.
Go as long as you like.
The last.
Speak after
What else am I going to say? I'm almost done. Yeah, this verse, Seva Sadhaka Rupena Siddha Rupena Chatrahi Tad Bhava Lipsuna Karya Vrajaloka Nisarata. This is the goal of Raganuga Bhakti, to be able to physically, as a sadhak, perform all these sevas, these devotional limbs of bhakti, and then internally absorbed in serving our Guru Varga and Radha Krishna and the associates of Braj in our internally conceived form. This is what Gurudev wanted us all to understand, that this was the goal, not to just be external, but to develop that inner mood. And he did so generously, magnanimously, give us so much insight into his heart. I've heard, I might not be saying the words correctly, but Gurudev saying, oh, my heart is shallow. Because I'm giving away everything that's in my heart very easily. Other acharyas hide these things, these moods that Gurudev would show so kindly. Of course, he still concealed, his moods, and was grave and always sharing Prahlad Maharaj's instructions and Bhagavatam, and not just being cheap ever with the pastimes of Radha Krishna, but whenever he spoke, it's like time stopped and you were there, and you were in Braj. He makes it seem like Braj Bhakti and Radha Dasyam is so easy, just like one little glimpse away, so close. Yeah, and I remember when he was in our house, speaking during the initiation, he was talking about Sri Krishna and playing his flutes, and he also was doing this with the kids. Krishna Maya Didi brought her kids from elementary school. She's a teacher, and they all came with Gopal paintings that they had drawn. And he says, who is your best friend? Gopal. They all started, screaming. He's like, yeah, it's Krishna. And he plays a beautiful flute. And I remember Gurudev just playing it with his hands and just putting me into a trance, really. And all the sunlight was filtering through in the backyard with all the trees. And it's like, where am I? And Gurudev would say that. He would say, come with me to Braj. During his Karikata, he would transport people. and give them a glimpse and give them greed. Without that, we can't have greed for this high thing. And that's why Gurudeva, a lot of his classes, at least from what I've heard, is so much about the levels of bhakti and glorifying the gopis as being the highest and going through the progression. And there's a class that I transcribed, 1997, France, Srimad Bhagavatam classes. And he talked about who is higher, Ambarish Maharaj or Bali Maharaj. And he said, Bali Maharaj knows Srila Vamandev. Bali Maharaj is fully surrendered to him, and he sees Vamandev every day as his dwarpa, as his storekeeper. But Ambarish is actually higher, even though Ambarish has not attained full perfection yet. He's in Bhav in this world, but has not, from what I understood, that is what Gurudeva was saying. He had not had darshan, full darshan of the Lord in that way, like Bali Maharaj had. He said, but he's higher because his internal mood is a higher rasa. And he said, and he would say this a lot. He would say, do you want to be in Vaikuntha? And everyone would say, no. Do you want to be in Dwarka? No. Do you want to be in Mathura? No. Do you want to be in Braj? Yes. Do you want to be like Madhya Yashoda? No. And he would go all the way up to the gopis, Radha Dasyam, Manjari, to be a servant, maid servant of Radhika, Srimati Radhika. So he was always putting this in us very strongly. And a devotee says, oh, I don't think I'm advancing. And he would do this progression. And then he said, this is advancement. You understand what you want. You know the goal. And going back to that class in France, he said, if Narada Muni would come before you, and this was your aspiration, this highest aspiration of being a maidservant of Srimati Radhika, he would bow down before you and say, oh, what a high aspiration you have. And he said, and then you will bow down before him and beg for the mercy to accomplish that, to attain that highest wealth. So completely incredible. Just that Gurudeva always wanted to fix our compass to know where we were going very clearly, because that highest jewel that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give, time is the only thing separating us if we're very fixed on that. It's only a matter of time. It's not so have that greed very fast. Gurudeva would give that mood, have, fixed, have the greed, do it. So I'm just thinking about all these things of what Srila Gurudeva shared. And so grateful that he has made it very clear what our path is. And now for me, personally, it is about how to get there in a real way. And how that is through Guru Seva. And anything I've learned about Srila Gurudev really has only come from the mercy of Vaishnavas. And I wouldn't be able to understand Gurudev's moods without them, because they are so near and dear to Gurudev, and they have served him. And Gurudev said in a class one time, he wants to be proud of us like he is proud of Sripad Premananda Prabhu, Sripad Madhav Maharaj, Sripad Tirtha Maharaj. He wants to be proud of us like he is of them, of how they've dedicated their life and would give up anything in an instant for him. And so I hope to try to imbibe that mood, not just externally, but also internally conceive of his moods and not be in separation. Internally meeting. Always. This is my hope and prayer for all of us on this beautiful day. This is a Mahotsav. It's a Tirobhav Titi. It's a disappearance day, but it's also a festival. And I remember when Prabhuji, on the first Viraha Mahotsav of Srila Gurudev in 2011 in Navadvip, we were there. He explained why this is a festival, and so much about how this is where Gurudev is reuniting with his beloved Swamini and with Sri Krishna and all the gopis and entering Nitya Lila. This is a glorious occasion. It is a festival. But it, of course, is bittersweet for the sadhaka, for the disciple. But we hope to also be there and serve. That's the greater hope. Not to be here, but to be there internally. So Jai. Srila Gurudeva ki jai. Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki jai. I want to speak about Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj, but there's no time.
There's time.
Continue after Aarti, Jagdish.
Okay. Okay. Today is also the appearance day of Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj, his dear godbrother. They were one in heart. Srila Charika Maharaj, Srila Gurudeva, and Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj are like one soul in three bodies. And usually after an acharya leaves, there's always disruption and difficulty in the institution because everyone has different mood around Guru. And after that, so much confusion and chaos can happen. But yet after Srila Param Gurudev went into Nitya Leela, there was no disturbance, there was no difficulty because they were three strong pillars of the Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti working so well together and so much respect. Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj would always beg for blessings and mercy from his godbrothers before initiating. He was the acharya, the next acharya. So just this mood and camaraderie, even though Srila Vaman Maharaj was so senior in so many ways, there was just so much friendship and love. I wanted to share a little bit about the Avirbhav, his childhood pastimes, because Prabhuji has shared some really sweet details about his childhood. He, first of all, she was a very strong devotee, and she didn't take no for an answer. Talk about determination and bhakti. Her husband was not so into her doing these things. She would go on parikrama every year to Navadvip Dham parikrama. She lived in a village in Bengal somewhere, but still it's a journey. Back then it wasn't, trains were not always available. You'd have to take bullock cart. Even in Navadvip, there was never a local train in Navadvip at that time. You would have to go to Krishnanagar and then take a bullock cart. And so that's quite a journey in and of itself. I don't know exactly where she was, but every year she would go to Navadvip Dham parikrama. And when she was pregnant with Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj, and even before that, she would clean the prasad halls, the areas, any of the areas where devotees would take prasad. And she would collect all of this and dry it. She would dry, imagine, in India they use squeegees. That's how you do it. You don't use brooms. You could use jadus. They don't have like the standing brooms. Jadus are like made from coconut reeds, coconut sticks. You peel off all the leaf and you dry them. So using that and then squeegeeing with water and pushing, you can imagine just like this sludge of, that's how I imagine at least, of Mahaprasad, and so much faith in Mahaprasad, collecting it all and then drying it and keeping it. And when she had Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj, immediately back into parikrama, there's no break. She would give ladies programs in her own village. And I recently heard that on Ekadasi, she wouldn't feed her baby breast milk. She wouldn't feed him anything. Because she said, I have faith in Ekadasi Devi, so he doesn't need anything. And his father would get really upset. He'd be like, you're not going to feed our child. It's our son. What are you doing, crazy lady? Like, But her faith and determination was so strong. She said, no, I don't need to do that. And but she would, after that, after every Ekadasi, because Srila Saraswati Thakur disciples only nirjal, it was your Ekadasi, no water, no food. After that, she would break his fast with the prasad that she had dried from those remnants. And she would bring him every year to Srila Saraswati Thakur as he was growing up, every parikrama. And as he got older, he was more disinclined to come back home. He didn't want to come back home, as we heard this morning a little bit. And so one detail I just heard was actually when he was about 6 years old. This is the year he stayed back and did not return home. He went to Nishringapalli on his own. Nishringapalli is very far from Yoga Pit if you've been. It's quite a distance. So he walked there on his own and he prayed to Nrsingadev and Prahlad Maharaj. And he said, Prahlad Maharaj, you're so young. Help me. I want to become a devotee and I don't want to be pulled in all these different directions. I don't want to go back home. And he was praying and praying and praying and crying and weeping. And then he made his way. He stayed that whole night in the Sringapalli and then returned. And I'm not sure if this was that one day that he actually ran away or just after that, but it was around this time that he did that. And I'd never heard that before, that he prayed to Prahlad Maharaj. And just his staunch faith. He, from the very beginning of his life, taking Vaishnav remnants, and his whole life was about Vaishnav Seva. Like even as a kid, his Seva was to set up after school in the afternoon, to set up lemon and salt and chili on everyone's banana leaf plates, and he would have the banana leaves and set them all. And one day, he was so dedicated to his service. One day, it was a big monsoon. It gets really rainy in Navadvip, really bad. Like your first floor is submerged, kind of thing. The Bengalis sleep on the roof or up. It's all submerged. But Yoga Pit and Brajapatan, where Chaitanya Ma is a little raised, so they weren't submerged, but everywhere else was submerged. And he would have to go to collect banana leaves, and he got stuck in the current, and he was holding onto a tree. And Narahari Seva Vigraha Prabhu, the mother of the Mat, saw him and went out to go save him, because he was like, where is the plates? Where is Sajan Sevak? Where is he? So he collected him and found him. And this was, Srila Prabhupada was so happy seeing this mood of Seva, his dedication to Vaishnav Seva, so humble, so soft and sweet. And we heard this morning of this story on the train station that Param Gurudev sent Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj to collect Gurudev, even though nobody knew Gurudev was coming to Navadvip to give up everything and to join the Mat. Param Gurudev knew internally and called Sajan Sevak to call him, Tiwariji, Tiwariji. So similarly, Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj also called back Gurudev back into to return to Param Gurudev and to Nitya Lila on this day. We've heard this in Harikatha, this mood of calling him back, because he wanted to leave on that other day in Kartik, that the disappearance of Srila Trivikram Goswami Maharaj and Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj, but it wasn't possible because of all the devotees' love, and they're praying and crying in tears, so he wasn't able to go. But Srila Gurudev, always very tricky, and he always is able to get what he wants. Even those who didn't want to be stolen, he stole their hearts. Even if there was resistance, Gurudev was very piercing. He could pierce and catch people. Even myself, I had no idea. I've said this before, but when I was little, I was at a darshan just to meet a sadhu and just to meet him. And my father just wanted to meet him and talk to him. And just staring at me so piercingly, I had to keep my eyes away because I was shy. I was like, why is he staring at me so much? Very laser beam, blue eyes. And so in this way, Gurudev captured so many people and stole them, and we don't even know what's happened with our life, but he's taken it over, and we want him to take over our life and make us like him. Koro More Atmasat. So this is my prayer. Shri Gurudeva ki jai, Shri Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Vai Premanande, Hari Bo Vancha Kalpatru Vischa Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavi